In Pendleton on October 26, 1965, Indianapolis police were called to 3850 New York Street, where Sylvia's likens body lay on a mattress. Banishevsky told them the girl had been attacked by a gang of boys, and she even produced a note written in Sylvia's own writing that seemed to confirm that story. Sylvia came from a large, poor family from southern Boone County, just northwest of Indianapolis. Her father, Lester Likens, had only an 8th grade education and worked a lot of different jobs to make a living. He'd had a laundry route, worked in factories, and had even owned a small restaurant, though all unsuccessful. He had also traveled with carnivals selling food from a concession cart. And it was to this work to which he and his wife decided to return in the summer of 1965. That meant finding someone to watch 4 of their children. The oldest, Diana, was grown and married. The 2 boys, Danny and Benny, were placed with their grandparents, and that left the girls, Sylvia and Jenny. Jenny was shy, insecure, and limped from childhood polio. Sylvia was outwardly more confident and went by the nickname Cookie. She was pretty but always kept her mouth closed when she smiled because she had a missing tooth. A mutual friend introduced the likens to Gertrude Banishevsky, then briefly going by the name Gertrude Wright, who lived in a big rented house at the corner of East New York and Denny and was willing to look after Jenny and Sylvia for $20 a week. Gertrude was already caring for 7 of her own children: Paula, 17, John, 12, Stephanie, 15, Marie, 11, Shirley, 10, and James and Dennis, 18 months. The 6 oldest children all had the last name Banishevsky because their father was Gertrude's ex-husband, John Banishevsky. From the beginning, there was a clash between Sylvia and Gertrude's 17-year-old daughter, Paula, and this was the seed of what grew in that house during the months of July through October 1965. Then one day the money order from Sylvia's parents didn't show up and Gertrude was expecting it. Jenny later testified, "Gertrude took us upstairs and she slapped me and said, 'Well, I took care of you 2 bits for a week for nothing.'" The money order arrived the next day, but the key had been turned. The youngest child, Dennis, had the last name of his father, Dennis Wright. Gertrude said he was in Germany serving in the army. Gertrude was frail and underweight, but she had 2 weapons she used for corporal punishment: a fraternity-style paddle and a thick leather belt left behind by her ex-husband, John Banishevsky, an Indianapolis police officer. Gertrude began using the paddle on Sylvia and Jenny for various offenses, such as exchanging soft drink bottles for change at a nearby grocery. When she suspected Sylvia of stealing, she used matches to burn the girls' fingers. Sometimes Gertrude felt too weak from her asthma to discipline the girls properly, so 17-year-old Paula helped. Neighborhood children began to crowd the home to participate in the torture. The children took turns practicing their judo on Sylvia, hurling her against a wall. Some began kicking and beating her. Others extinguished their cigarettes on her skin. As Gertrude and a gang of teenagers watched, Sylvia was forced to undress in the living room and inserting a bottle in her vagina. After the beatings, Sylvia was forced into a scalding hot bath so she would be cleansed of her sins. She was severely beaten and burned for wetting her mattress while asleep, and Gertrude decided that Sylvia was no longer fit to live with her children. Near the end, Sylvia was no longer permitted to leave the house. She was thrown down the cellar stairs and locked in, given crackers for food, and refused a right to use a bathroom. Gertrude Banishevsky announced to her children that Sylvia was a prostitute. "And she's proud of it, so we'll just put it on her stomach." She took a large needle and began to carve the words "I'm a prostitute and proud of it" into Sylvia's stomach. Richard Hobbs, a neighbor boy, finished the etching. When Banishevsky realized Sylvia might be dying, she forced her to write a note saying a gang of boys beat her. The plan was to blindfold her and dump her in nearby woods. With the note, Sylvia tried to escape with Gertrude, and one of the boys stopped her, beating her again and throwing her back into the basement. Sylvia Likens died October 26, 1965. Cause of death was determined to be brain swelling, internal hemorrhaging of the brain, and shock induced by Sylvia's extensive skin damage. Sylvia also suffered from extreme malnutrition. She was buried at Oak Hill Cemetery in Lebanon. At her trial the following year, Banishevsky denied any knowledge of the torture, claiming the children must have done it all. She entered pleas of not guilty and not guilty by reason of insanity. On May 19, 1966, a jury found Banishevsky guilty of first-degree murder, while Paula Banishevsky was found guilty of second-degree murder. Hobbs, along with Banishevsky's son John and another neighborhood boy Coy Hubbard, were convicted of manslaughter. Gertrude and Paula Banishevsky were sentenced to life terms at the Indiana Women's Prison in Indianapolis. The boys were sentenced to 2 to 21-year terms at the Indiana State Reformatory in Pendleton. It has been the most enduring nightmare in Indianapolis. Thanks for watching.